Hello friends, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox, and today I'm presenting the Flower Bunch Stencil set along with the die that's purchased separately. So I had a blast with this set. I love Altenew stencils, and this one is just magnificent. So again, I've got the die cuts here, so you can see you can cut some individual flowers, you can cut out the entire bunch, and then you've got several layered stencils that match up really, really well because they've added some etchings onto their stencils. So I was pretty impressed with this set. So the first thing I always do is I grab a Sharpie marker of whatever color and I renumber these so that I can actually see them very quickly, see what number it is that I'm working on. So again, just really impressed with this set. So here is their layering guide, which shows you, how to actually match up the layers, kind of what corners and edges you're looking for, and they do just a great job with this. So I am using inks from this Tranquility set. So again, it's kind of misty morning, cloudy sky, because I wanted the leaves to kind of have that blue color. So again, I'm actually working on two different sets here on the same 5.5 by 8.5 piece of cardstock. So again, I'm just kind of layering the colors. So there's the Tranquility blues, and now I have moved on to Martian, what's it called? Martian Terrain. And it's kind of got some orangey, pinky type of, colors in it. I really like the colors, kind of a canyon type color. So again, here I am just kind of lining the stencils up, and you can't really see well on here, but there are additional etching markers on the stencil, which, again, they're not the openings, they are etching markers, which help you to line the stencils up and just make it so much easier. So again, I've just kind of moved on through here in the layers of the flowers, just kind of stenciling away. There should be a red arrow at the lower right section of your screen. I'd love it if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I do a lot with flowers, obviously. If you looked at my channel, I do a lot with flowers and also funky, grungy type things with some of the Tim Holtz products. So again, I've lined this back up again, and I've grabbed a yellow that I'm going to go ahead and add the extra little flowers on there. And again, I did end up using two colors. So again, kind of from the yellow, pumpkin, and I think pumpkin's the second color that I use. So again, just kind of adding the additional, you can see the additional lines and details on that. So we'll get those all lined up here and finished. Just too much fun, just too much fun. So look at how gorgeous those are. Those are just really, really, really pretty. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them down, and then I'm going to actually die cut them. So again, I'm trimming them here. So there's that one. And then here I'm pulling out the die cut. And it's really pretty easy to line up. Although I will admit that it's easier, I found it easier to die cut the white cardstock first and then line the stencil up. You'll see here that I've got some white lines here. So what I ended up doing was pulling my blending brushes out and the colors again and just kind of overlapping, kind of blending it out so that I didn't have those stark white things. So like I say, the hint is die cut it first and then use the inks to color it. It just tends to work much better. So again, I had two extra flowers, so I am going to end up popping those up on the final card. I don't really demonstrate that, but I do pop those up. So I wanted to go ahead and die cut those. And you can see there's my flowers. So I'm going to go ahead and just hit the edges again. Adds a little bit more depth to them as well. So, in addition to covering up the white spaces at the edges, it also adds some depth to the flowers, which I like a lot. So again, there's those guys. And so here I'm kind of playing with, you know, in the end, I did end up adding those or popping those up. So I decided that for the background, I wanted to use the organic linen embossing folder to kind of really give it some texture with that die cut one that I did. So again, I'm going to go ahead and add some glue runner to the back. And first I'm going to go ahead and glue that embossed piece onto my A2 card base. And when I'm working with watercolor cardstock or textured cardstock, I always get out the tacky glue. It just seems to work really, really well and gets to adhere the embossed panel to the card. So again, here I'm kind of measuring where I want to put this. And so I'm going ahead and coloring a section of the white cardstock here because I'm going to use that to cut out the So Grateful from the Essential Sentiment set. There you go. So Grateful. Love this set. I use this set a lot. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out. And that will go there at the bottom. And again, I'm going to go ahead and pop it up. I've added a little bit of glue to the back. And then I'm going to trim it so that, again, you know, the sentiment strips, sentiments, I like to pop up because, again, it gives them a little bit of extra texture, you know, for your card. So again, here's how I'm going to set this up. And so I've got tape runner on the center of the bloom set, and I am just grabbing my glue applicator here with the needle nose applicator and kind of hitting the edges so that the whole thing will be glued down. So we'll go ahead and just adhere it down. Same thing with the sentiment strip. I'm just adding some glue. And then we'll go ahead and pop that on there. And I do throw an acrylic block on just to hold it. And then we're going to move on to my next one, which is this lovely purple and yellow one. I love this purple. This is from the Shades of Purple set. So here I went ahead and die cut the image out first, and then I'm going to layer on top of it. And it just made it so much easier. I will tell you that the stencil set, this is actually number 4 that I'm starting with because I think it's easier to do the leaves first and then move back in to add the flowers. And so, you know, again, there's a trick to when you're trying to center this. If you hold up the leaf with the flower on top of it, it can really help you decide where you're going to place it if you're not going to die cut it on a card. So I found that tip to be helpful. So again, I'm just kind of layering here. I'm using the grays for this particular set. So I decided to do gray background with the purple and then the yellow flowers, obviously. So again, just kind of layering back and forth here. And it's very easy, again, to match these things up. Very easy. So there's my gray leaves here. And then I decided that I needed to go back because I kind of didn't, I colored over or maybe used the darker color when I shouldn't have. So I've gone back here and added another layer to that darker leaf set, but it doesn't matter. I think it looks just fine. So again, here I am kind of playing with it, trying to figure out, okay, where does this thing match up? There we go. So then I'm going to go ahead and get out some of the purple shades from the Shades of Purple. So again, I always start with the lightest, and you'll see there I've got a strip of, it's probably 1 inch by 5.5 inches piece of cardstock that I use for my to block it off so that I don't color on the card base and I don't color in random pieces that aren't supposed to be colored. So again, that's just kind of my trick. I always work on these silicone mats when I'm stenciling because they hold them. So again, I own a couple of them. I've got the Altenew one. I've also got a couple of them from Waffle Flower, and I use all three of them all the time. So again, you can see there, I've got that piece of white cardstock there at the right-hand side, and I've just moved on to the second layer, which is a little bit darker. I tend to identify my blending tools by color families. I don't worry about having a light purple and a medium purple and a dark purple blender. I just, again, when you start from light and go to dark, it works out just fine. I also, once I'm done playing with the stencils, I end up washing the brushes out and then setting them aside to dry, because I do move back and forth between dye inks and, the distress inks, and, and especially if I happen to go from distress ink to the oxides, it's real important that you clean those out so you don't contaminate the pads. So now I'm just kind of working with the maple yellow and the honey drizzle are the two that I used here. So there you go. I pop it back out and look at how beautiful that thing is. That is just amazing. Just amazing. So again, that's my tip when you're doing the stencils. So this is the, what is this? This is a different embossing folder that I've used, and I'm sorry, I'm looking for it. Fantasy Emblem embossing folder is what that one is. So I've attached that to the card base. I did trim it a little bit smaller, and so I'm doing the same thing again. I did the glue runner in the center of this, the bloom set, and I am using my white glue on the outside so that I get good adherence. And so you can see that I trimmed that Fantasy Emblem embossing folder image down a little bit. And so now I've moved on. These are the Go-Go Birthday set that I have that I love, because again, you can stamp and die cut them all at one time. It's great. And so I wanted to just use that top one. So again, I just inked the top section and put it in my stamp positioner, and then I've added clear embossing ink, and I'm just going to heat emboss it, and then I'm just going to hand trim it. I'm not, or use my trimmer to trim it into shape. I'm not going to put it in the die that comes with the set. So again, I pulled out my little guillotine cutter, and I'll just kind of trim. I love sentiments. I just, whether it's a strip or a cutout sentiment, or I just have a lot of fun with these things. So again, I'll go ahead and cut that in an angle and then figure out where I want it, and then I will attach it. So again, I have a bucket of scraps that sits on my desk that I use, again, the white ones to for white sentiment strips to go ahead and pop them up. So again, always, I've got little scraps of cardstock on my desk. So I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner again and get that card assembled for you. So again, it's Terry with Terry's Mailbox. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Blogger. I would love to have you come and follow and subscribe to my channels. Have a great day.